Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. My buddy Rhett back there. Yeah, August is almost here. I think that's what it sounded like she said. And August is not almost here. It's actually November 9th. We're very close to mid-November, what you'd call mid-November. Next Tuesday is Veterans Day here in the United States, so that is going to be my first paid holiday in, I mean, probably more than 10 years. Um, it's just, man. Uh, yeah, it's been a lot, it's been so hard. But anyways, we got it. We made it. I made it. Hopefully, everything's going okay for you guys wherever you're at. I know these are hard times all over the place, especially in the IT industry. I know that I had for my other project, I like did a big announcement like on LinkedIn. Hey, here's a 6-minute video that explains exactly how this tool works and how you can get to the tool. And like I had a grand total of like 10 people look at it because you know what? Like I think all of the oxygen for IT right now is just being sucked up by AI. Like it's all about AI. I have some dear friends that are deep into AI, like sort of betting their entire careers on AI. I hope it works out for them. I do know that with AI, we have a lot of challenges, and AI is definitely going to be a important part of the future of software engineering and probably all kinds of things. And There's going to be some serious growing pains, and how we actually use it is probably going to be very different than what anything we're doing today. Like you see, you have to be really open-minded to that because we are going to use AI, and we're going to use it some way, and it's going to be huge. But how we actually use it is way up in there. Now, I have created a monster for myself, and you could tell like that I had the monster because I said something like, "Oh, this." I made this comment at the time. So I could sense when I wrote that line of code, I could sense that there was something way off about this code, but I couldn't actually build it correctly at the time. And the reason I couldn't build it correctly at the time is because I probably um like so we were doing CRUD, create, read. So I probably wrote this code before. So we did, yeah, create and read together. We didn't have delete. Delete didn't exist. I probably wrote this code when you could add one, but you couldn't delete any or something like that. And then I went in and tweaked the code once we got to delete. And then I probably went in and tweaked the code again once we got to update. And then we ended up with like an absolute disaster of code that's damn near impossible to understand. And I would say on a scale of 1 to 10 on the most difficult to understand code I've ever seen, this is a 3. I've definitely worked in places where it's just literally like took every ounce of brain I had and days and days of absolute, maybe even weeks of absolutely thinking about it at least 40 or 50% of any free brain cycles I had offline. Like it was just like the complexity was so incredible that like we couldn't figure it out. You know, it was just so hard to figure out. And then uh once we figured it out, you know, it was just like ugh. But anyways, I missed the see I here was my guess, right? This was a guess. We should not be getting the first, we should be checking for a specific one. And I was wrong, right? That was a bad guess. And I'm glad I didn't actually update the code then to actually do what this comment suggests, because that would have actually made this even that much more just abstract and difficult to understand. Um, so there's that. You know, I just that's that's just a reality I'm living with. So now I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, so what is happening is one, we need we need to know when we go to do an ups when we go to upsert. So upsert is, I believe, a a command that is in like Oracle. and maybe I don't know if it's in like Microsoft SQL, but it's like to say, hey, I would like you to add something, but I only want you to add it if it doesn't already exist. So what we need to do, one is, and then it looks like we do something beyond that. Down here, we actually mark it as um, visualized somewhere along the way. And actually, we don't even do it in here. We do it as sort of a side effect. Oh, no, no, that we're still in the function. Yeah, so in here we say, hey, set this as initialized, which is not in this. Like you would not know that just by looking at the name of this function. So this function is just a massive function. Now, the question to me, the question is like, what should we do if we don't, like, should none of this happen if we don't have an empty visualization? And I don't even like those words. So if we don't have, when we go to upsert a component, and if it's already there, should we do nothing with it or should we do something with it? I don't know. Um, but the first thing we need to think about is whether, or we need to write a function that just tells us whether this viz component needs to be upserted or not. And not only that, but it looks like we pass in one viz component and then we do something to all of the viz components, right? We start like going through all, like it feels like, but maybe we don't. Yeah, see, get first empty visualization, ST visualization. Okay, so that implies that, okay, let's say there was a second empty one, that one's going to get handled, but maybe it gets handled beyond this. Um, so that for even using that word first is put me in a wrong mindset. Now, oh, the other thing that was funny yesterday was that I was testing a specific scenario, and then I got it fixed, and then and I'd even stated that there's another issue that is has nothing to do with this, but I need to focus on this one, and then I immediately start testing for the other issue. It is amazing how we as human beings do that. So what the scenario that I was testing was I had add this, I go to a different view, I add a new one. No, no, I come back and I add a new one. That was it. And then I got confused. And I thought what I was doing was what I was just about to do just now. Add this, go here, add another one, go here. And then I thought I broke it, so I almost undid all my hard work um, because I just started testing like the next problem because that is the next problem once we have this problem fixed. So we do have this problem addressed. It is not fixed because the true problem is this code is extraordinarily difficult to figure out. So let's just start all over, not start all over, but let's just go back to basics and figure out if write a function that determines if there is a component. See, why am I looking for a component? I'm upserting this component, but this is searching for any component. Okay. Oh, okay. So yeah, some other process probably Angular. Angular is rendering all the components. And then we need to know if see I say determine if the component already exists. Examine all components. Oh, okay, I see what happens. So basically, because we created one in another view, we were in a different view. The ST part, the piece that we use to maintain our state, like there's three things going on here, which makes things really hard, right? One thing is Angular is doing its thing to render uh, DOM elements and stuff like that. Two is ThreeJS is doing stuff to draw this stuff. And actually, there's four things going on, right? One is Angular's building out these things. Two is ThreeJS is um, rendering individual non-animated items. It's taking commands and then just rendering something. That's it. Three, there's some TypeScript that is doing the animations, that's calculating the animations and telling ThreeJS to redraw stuff. And four, there is our ST whole suite of ST stuff that is maintaining the state of everything, right? So we have like four very complex schemes that take a lot of understanding and expertise working at the exact same time in parallel. That's why we have to do this crazy thing here. So it is possible that the ST visualization already exists for the component that we just updated and the component has changed. So one. So let's document that. A. Let's put a okay. Okay. It is possible that the co component Angular exists, but there is no ST object. ST visualization object. ST object for it yet. So that would be like an example that you just created it just now. B. It is possible that the component Angular exists and there is an ST visualization object for it. And now I kind of understand. I don't understand this for it. And I'll just let already. Okay, so that is the situation. Man, it's like, I guess what we want to do is so it's brand new to built before in another view. Another layout, right? So the idea is like hit save. So we'll reload this thing. Okay, so version A is this, right? Like we just hit add viz, and I guess the ST doesn't exist for it yet. So we need to create one in our visualization service. There's also the possibility, so let's close this, like this, and back to here, the ST exists already because we already created the ST because it already existed. But now with the components being rebuilt again and it needs to be assigned, right? So that's B. That's the built before in another layout. The component needs to be reassigned. Brand new. So a ST visualization object needs to be I don't know why I suddenly went to camel case and misspelled object. Needs to be created. Okay. So these are like kind of like the two, I think these are the only two possible situations, right? One, we're creating we are creating a component, and it could be created for one of two reasons. One, because we just added it, and two, because we just changed views. Okay. So we need to determine, did we just change views or did we just add it? And so now we're just kind of doing this like sort of um, what would you call it? We're doing like sort of this like letting the code imply to us based on its current state what just happened to it, as opposed to coding for what we actually know. Now, maybe it would make sense in Upsert for maybe whatever. I mean, really, what we're talking about, one is they clicked the button, they clicked add. B, it was already added, the view changed. All right. And so now it would be kind of nice if we knew that upsert came from an add or not. So let's see if that's possible. Let's see if we painted ourselves into like a corner and we can't tell from here, or maybe we can tell. Like it could be literally very, very simple to determine. But I'm assuming the upsert core component gets called from two different places. I cannot believe I have 95 freaking changes, file changes. Oh, okay. Most of them are in Cypress, it looks, I think. Let's see. Oh my God, it's just everywhere. I think that that is the weakness of the system that I put in place, right? Like I put it in a place where I was like, I only want to commit something if all unit tests are passing and all Cypress are passing. I don't want to do commit unless I have that. And now I have this massive hundreds of file. It's gonna or almost 100 file commit that I would normally not do. But like sort of this new rule that I came up for myself has altered the way things. So now I have problems that I've never ever had before, and that I don't really have any systems in place. But anyways, upsert. I'm thinking. Okay, so that only gets called from one place, and that's in this actual function. Now this setup visualization items is the only place this gets called. And then, okay, so what I'm doing, I think oh, this was such a mistake. I think, I don't know, it maybe might have been a huge mistake. It's like one of those things that like I kind of know better. I just didn't know I was doing it at the time. Okay, so this gets called when this setup DOM visualization. Okay, so there's no way. So now I'm just like rolling through these things, and I have a visualization of items, and it's just happening as a side effect of something. Who the hell knows what it's a side effect of? I guess it would be useful to at least determine what this is a side effect of. And it might even be an effects thing. Okay, so this is the actual thing. It gets called here and custom layout. So yeah. So basically it's just a side effect of the entire application being built. So it kind of seems like we never get here from add. So I'm wondering if it's even possible to um yeah, see I do setup DOM and then update visualization layout. Oh, and this is an animation server, so this is probably where these guys, yeah, update visualization layout literally makes total sense that that's what would update the layout of the visualizations. All right, so it kind of looks like this never ever gets called from add, so I don't know if that ever happens. Okay, it's possible the component Angular exists, but there's no visualization. I wonder if this ever happens. If there's any condition that that happens. And if that doesn't happen, then I think that we would never get, see the way I do this. I don't know. Either we'll never get an empty visualization or we would never get an existing visualization. I think we would never get an empty visualization, I would think, if this was the case. But maybe there's another thing. So basically, what I'm trying to figure out, I think, is I believe that it is possible that there would be a viz component. I don't think it's possible that there would be a viz component with the way this code is written that would ever not have that there would we would never get a viz component and there not be a st visualization waiting for it. So dot log. Right, so what this does, get first empty visualization, go to implementation, and then see this returns an st visualization or undefined. And how does it know what the st visualizations are? Okay, so I named this visualizations. I think that was a mistake, as these are in fact st visualizations. Go to definition. Yeah. So I'm going to rename that. St visualizations, and then I want to rename that. I think I've thought, oh, if I'm over here on the ST side, entity services. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't have any idea why I didn't name this. I always, when I first visualized building these videos and stuff, I thought, oh, I'll go back and watch them when I have questions in the future, and I'm not going to. So it's good to know that. But I wonder, I bet you if I were to go back and look at it, I had a debate with myself on whether I should name this ST visualizations or just visualizations. And somehow I came to the conclusion to screw myself over and just name them visualizations. And this is a very good reason on why you should always get like uh, service class level attributes through like a getter instead of um, like trying to hang on to them directly, like or trying to get a reference to them directly, because this should, if I only used my getter up there for it, this should not impact anything outside of this code. Oh no. I hit copy instead of paste. Control V instead. I Control C instead of Control V. And this is like another example of something that like is a bit of a pain in the butt to do today, but like if I had to do it in the future, it would be much, much harder. It looks like I missed one somewhere. Probably some of this long code here. We'll just use the Was it the wrong one? Okay, that took me to the declaration. Okay, now there was like a get visualization. So it looks like I didn't break anything outside of this service. So that was good. That was a benefit. Don't like how long, now that I think about it, how long this service is. This thing's gigantic. I think 1,000 lines is my limit. Like if I hit 1,000 lines, it's time to break this thing down into subservices or something. Um, let's name this to ST visualizations, which is much harder thing to do in C sharp. Well, I guess not necessarily. The way we do C sharp where I work, it's a much harder thing to do. All right, so we got a problem here. Okay, that's where it's named, line 32. This is where it's used, line 257. Now, I really don't know how I would have been able to do this, if I'm being completely honest. Um, I don't know how I would have been able to do this before, how I would have been able to get this right. I mean, you have to make decisions, and you're gonna make bad decisions. It's just a reality. Now, this thing where I end up with so many, like in the future, I can imagine myself working someplace where okay, so this is the declaration. Apparently there was one here in animation service that gets those. And I'm guessing this is where, yep, and this is where it happens. For some reason, that's not getting called. Now, I already have a console log there, so it looks like last week or something, I had figured that out. But all right, so now I think we have that named a little better. Let's just do a quick test, just to make sure we haven't broke anything. Yeah, okay, so we're still good. I love you too, Rhett. I love you too. I love you too. One time, Rhett got really sick, probably like 25 years ago, 20 years ago. We took him to the vet. We took her to the vet, and everybody had all these pets out there. The vet we had actually had a couple of African greys himself and all that, and all the everybody was very interested. All the other animals were very interested. She was really sick, and she was in a little cage, and she was like laying down, and they don't usually lay down. Um, and I remember when they called my wife in, she told me that she went, "I love you," and everybody in the whole place, like all the other pet owners, just melted because they're like, "Oh my gosh, you have a pet that tells you it loves you." So that was neat. All right, so we're back here, and we want to see if this. Okay, these are the visualizations. Now, I think as we get edit working and as we start moving forward, we're going to come up with even bigger, just cluster, just messes like this, where it's just like, oh man, like this has to be refigured, you know, um, and I think that is just sort of the nature of, like, if you don't know what you're doing, if you're just taking step by step, like when I was a kid, I used to live next, like 15, 20 miles from a really big mountain. And we, when there was like this little private school that was at the bottom of the mountain, those kids could get to the top of that mountain and like, um, 30 minutes, but like we as like neighborhood, like kids from like 10 miles away, when we would drive there, we try to get to the top mountain, it would take us like 4 hours. And other people who were just like tourists from like hundreds of miles away, they could die up there. Like they would never, it was just like as you've taken more steps forward and all that, you can, and you've gone down that path before, you can do things faster and better. But the problem is that if you've never been up that mountain, you have no choice but to take step by step by step. I don't, I, so I've only had a few comments, but a few of those comments have been like, there are no tutorials on this. Yeah, we're doing something that no one's done before. So yeah, of course I'm gonna make mistakes. I mean, that's just the nature of get of that is just the nature of doing stuff that no one's ever done before. Now, this one is different than like I don't think we're working on any bleeding lead edge technologies here. I think every technology we're working with is very, very stable. So like as we build stuff, it's really worth it to really put the time and effort into understanding how every inch of it works so that in the future, if we're ever building anything, or we can build it in a good, reliable way. Um, that other one, it would be pointless to go through that level of effort because it's very likely that that whole darn thing is going to change. Okay, so which okay, so that's app component layout, and this is what line 105 of upsert component. So I get an upsert here, I wonder. Ugh. All right, so this is where things get confusing because I have so many. Okay, so we're looking for these are threes. These. Okay, so we do in fact when we hit add viz, this does get called. And there isn't one existed. So I don't know how this thing gets called, but somehow we get here when. So that is true. We have validated that this is true. A is validated as true. This happens. This really does happen. Okay, so B, I want to validate that B happens. Okay, so how would we do that? Okay, so my goal, I shouldn't change anything, right? Okay, so I think that if we leave and come back, so I'm going to clear my console, and then I'm going to leave. Okay, so now we're here. So this happens, apparently this isn't just for custom, this is for table layout too. So we have one visualization and we have that, and we know that it's supposed to be sitting at 0 and 200. Clear this, and we're just going to absolutely be 100% sure that this happens again when we come back over here. Yes, it did happen again. And the fact that it keeps getting faster and faster, I think tells me that um, there's something wrong with the code that we're using to assign the request animation frame. It just seems to like it's that same code is getting run all, um, extra times. Well, I don't know that for sure. We did. So that's going to be a bug, and I think that was a bug I wasn't surprised of. Okay, console. Okay, so B is validated. It really happens. All right. So now we have to determine, are we in A or are we in B? Um, because basically, okay, and that's basically what this means. Okay, so we have to determine if if we are here because something happened, because a new component, I guess viz component was added, or because we changed views. Like that's what we need to figure out. I don't know why we need to figure that out. I do know that we need to figure that out though. Okay, so if we add something, I believe we'll come in here again, right? So we actually came in here twice. So this gets called for each. Now I'm curious if we change, does it get called twice again? Yes. Okay, so this gets called for every component. Okay, so that is an important little factoid to keep in mind, that this gets called anytime. This goes at the very top. This gets called anytime a component is added or if the view changes. So those so those are more stuff, right? So and furthermore, this gets called for each component every time. So if you change views, this gets called for each component. If you add a component, this gets called for each component. So let's just it's called for each component. If you add a new component, this gets called for each component. So if you change views, so rule 1, so we can come up with a rule now, right? Rule 1. And this is, I think, not 100% sure. I think if you change views, each component needs to be attached to an existing st viz rule 2. Rule 2, I think, if you add a new component, you only the new component needs to be attached to a new st visualization. And basically that's what this code does, right? This code does both of these rules, but it like abstracts the heck out of them and uses weird words for them, and it makes it almost impossible to understand what the heck we're actually doing. So we're trying to make this code will be bigger. This code will be bigger if we when we're done with this, but it'll be a lot easier to understand. I think. I believe that's the case. So let's just sum up. So this is some code that gets called every time you change views for each component every time you change views. It also gets called for each component every time you add a component. If you change views, then each component needs to be added to a visualization. And I don't think it matters which component gets added to which visualizations because the well, no, it's gonna end up mattering, and I don't think we can do anything about it right now because it's gonna matter because when you're in no, it's not. It's not going to matter because the component draws whatever the hell it's told to draw. So it doesn't matter which one gets called. I don't think. It doesn't. I don't think because it's going to determine how it needs to draw based on the stuff in the ST visualization. So it's going to draw it from scratch. So like there's no reason to try to manage which component gets assigned to which visualization. I don't think. But so that was a little off thing. Second of all, if you add a new component, all the other components need to be left alone except for the new one. And a brand new ST visualization needs to be created for it, and then it needs to be assigned to that visualization. So rule one, if you change views, each component needs to be attached to an existing ST visualization. Okay, I agree. I think that takes care of a lot of that. Rule two, if you add a new component, only the new component needs to be attached to a new visualization. I think that's true. It's not quite precise enough to rule 2A. And I don't know this stuff. I have a pretty good confidence on it. Okay. So create a new component, a new ST visualization needs to be created. 2. Rule 2B. I think the passed in component needs to be assigned to the new to the new component visualization, ST visualization. All right, that's a lot. It's it's a bummer that we're in this situation. I think this will do massive improvements to the actual project and get us it going in the direction we need to go in. If you were working for a big corporation building stuff, they do not want to hear about this kind of thing. This is the kind of thing that will scare the living crap out of them. And this is a reality that happens. It's just kind of like just one of those things, you know, it's just one of those things. You just don't, it's going to be so hard to explain why. Like they will, it's easy for like, I don't know, like if when someone comes out and builds a deck on your house, you don't know all the little things that might be different about the property that you're building a deck on and all that stuff. And honestly, like you don't really have time and enough underlying understanding for them to be like explaining a lot of things. Like it'll just sound like gibberish. And this is this is the kind of thing that when you try to explain that, things like this just need to be done, it sounds like gibberish to everybody else. And they're like, I didn't pay you all this money. I'm not paying all these big bucks so that you can make mistakes like this. And I can't really blame them for that, but it's just like one of those things. So anyways, yeah, tomorrow I guess I'm gonna start trying to write out some code just to determine if we're in rule one, which is for, no, rule one, which is for changing views, rule two for adding a new component. And I'm just going to add that. Rule changing views, rule adding new. So I'll probably just try to write some code just so that we can get to the bottom of, are we in changing view mode where uh, basically every component needs to be attached to an existing visualization? Like or are we in attaching a new mode? And that's where only the new component needs to be attached to a new visualization. And I think all the rest of them should be left alone. And I'm not sure about that one. Rule 2C, I think all existing components need to be left alone. Now, what's weird about this, left alone, is that now that I think about it, is that we have a context of a single component. So basically, we just need to determine, is this viz component already attached? And I think that that's what that initialized means. Um, and maybe we probably, God dang it. So in our component, our viz component, we probably, let's go to this definition. So this is the component itself, and we have this is initialized. I thought we had guess we have a function that returns set as initialized, is initialized one, and then, and this is kind of a bummer. Oh, I could see now why we want to do this. Oh, it is private. Okay, good. I was gonna say we don't really want to work off of that one directly. So I think is initialized may not be the best word for this. Okay, so this is the only place we use it, and we really I think all we want to know is actually is it attached, not initialized. I kind of came up with a crazy idea now, which I probably don't want to do, but I think we want to say attached. No? Yes. Attached is more precise. Precise. And I really want to finish this video up, but and again, this I think is a very good example of um, like where I made a good guess that, oh, I've initialized it, and now I'm like, wait, actually, what? Oh, okay, this is, what? Oh, that's where it's declared. on line 72. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I don't understand what this is trying to tell me. Set it as initialized is attached is declared here. Here's where we're actually using it right there. So is attached. And I don't know, tomorrow that may not make sense to me. Attached. Okay, so that's happy. Let's go back over here. And let's change this set as attached. I think attached is a better word. Maybe not, but I do think it's a better word. Because initialized is more generic. Let's see over here, set as attached. And then, okay, so now I'm in the tabular layout, which apparently I'm using. And I think it does actually, it may actually make sense to um, call this initialized. Now, see, this is weird because now, yeah, I'm doing stuff in here where I'm determining if it had an empty and stuff like that. Oh, this is where, okay, this is where we're actively working. Okay, so now everything is back to compiling as attached. Okay, and then just for my own future sanity, I need to change this has been attached. I will be so mad at myself in the future if in the future I'm like, why did I change that? I'm very confused now, and I didn't have to be confused if I'd have just named this properly. And that's that. That is that. Okay, let's just make sure everything still works, and that's it. I'm not doing anything else. Not doing it. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. Well, unless it's broken. Okay. All right. So yeah. So tomorrow morning, Monday morning, I'm going to come in here. I want to be in the right place when I start the browser up, or when I start it up. Yeah. So I'm going to come in here, and the very first thing I'm going to do is try to figure out, is this a new component or is this an existing component? And I think that attached thing is how I can tell, right? I could just say, is it attached? If it's attached, that means, yeah, yeah, because yeah, I was worried that but when the component is destroyed and I create a new component, the new component will start off not attached. So I should be able to just check to see if it's attached, I think. I don't want to go through the whole thought process of that, but if it is attached, then that means that I can ignore it, I think, because it's attached. That means in either case, whether we're in changing views or in adding a new one, it doesn't matter. Well, A, if we're changing views, it will never be attached yet. It won't be attached until we attach it. But we do have to go find it. B, if we're in it, we just created one. If it's already marked as attached, then just leave it alone. Just deal with the one that isn't marked with it as attached. I think that code would be a lot easier to make sense of than this, unless I'm doing some other stuff in here that I'm not aware of. See, because I wonder if create viz component attaches it too. Let's go there real quick. Go to implementation. Oh, yep, see. So in either case, when we're done with this thing, I'm attaching it. So whether we're creating a component or, yeah, we were doing that, we're going to mark. And it's kind of weird because this other thing, it's like, I think it's already attached. So why we're, I don't, oh, okay, this is that. Create viz for component, create visualization. Jesus Christ, I have no idea what's going on down there. See, that is confusing. Yeah. So anyways, see you in the morning. Bye. Happy coding.